Happy Sunday. This is the Being in Sync 366 video series talking to you about healing regret today. And I wanted to specifically talk to you about, I don't know why so much of my kitchen is showing. Okay, so healing regret requires a lot of conscious intention. So a lot of people live with regrets, but they are not consciously aware that that's what they're doing. What they're doing is living in the past, holding on to grudges. Maybe somebody has been fired from a job and they begrudge the people who fired them. Maybe people think that they were bullied by this group of people. Maybe it's with your family. Maybe you regret not doing something with a sibling or with, I don't know what the regrets could be. So I'm just going to share some things that I know has worked in the past. Number one, in order to heal regret, you must take ownership for everything, the whole situation. So for example, I'll just use my family as an example. My dad, it's Father's Day. My dad, he did some stuff, some stuff maybe I didn't agree with or I didn't like. I've always been such a very strong person. But and I've been like this since I was young. In my 20s, I decided that I always thought if my dad died, would I regret anything that I've done, anything that I've said? Because I always knew that he would die first. I don't know how I knew this, but I just knew that he wasn't going to live a long life. And he didn't. He died in his early 50s. But what I had done in my 20s was I had decided that I wanted to take full ownership for everything that I thought about my dad, everything that I thought he did, everything that I accused him of, or, just all of it. I took responsibility for it all. I wrote him a very long letter and I said, for anything that I've ever thought about you, please forgive me and just know that I forgive you. So I wrote this letter knowing consciously that when he read this letter that our relationship would be complete from my perspective. I didn't need anything from him, didn't want anything from him, that this relationship was complete for all intents and purposes. And it served its purpose, because little did I know at the young age of 21 when I wrote this that he would die just a few years later. And what I learned from this experience in writing this letter, for number one, taking responsibility for my own experience, and number two, telling him that I forgave him for anything that I thought or anything that he may have done that I knew of or didn't know of. Whatever it was, it was water on the bridge. It was done. I was not going to hold on to it. I was moving on. And I knew that he knew that we were good and complete. But then when he died, my brother and my sister, I got to witness my brother and my sister not being complete with a relationship. And this is really a good teaching lesson for me that I would take into with my clients and my sessions, because people really suffer tremendously with grief based on regrets. And so I was able to really leverage what I witnessed and what I would say I compassionately witnessed with my brother and my sister. And I made sure that when my mother passed away, that she absolutely knew, that everybody I knew that knew her would have a chance to say what they thought of my mother. But that's another story. And I would communicate, have that documented in this beautiful book. Long story short, holding on to regrets, seeing that witnessed, I was able to bring that in with some of my clients. And so I've had clients who have had tremendous despair and regrets from their jobs, things that they wish they would have done, people they wish they would have said something to, gratitudes and appreciations that they wish they would have communicated that they didn't. And so I incorporated this into a regular aspect of the work that I did. So my clients could experience forgiveness through their honesty. And it doesn't have to be a letter, but a letter is very helpful. And basically in this letter, what you would do for anybody, it could be somebody who fired you, like I said, or somebody who you felt wronged, and you just want them to know that, you take responsibility for your aspect of it and that you're forgiving them for their role. And maybe even thanking them for their role in that got you to where you're at in this place where you're in forgiveness. And then you move on. You see, people who hold on to regret often don't realize that when they're in the ego mind that they don't want to forgive. They did me wrong. I don't want to forgive them. What they're doing is holding on. And that holding on to bitterness or sorrow or grief or despair, sadness, all those emotions can be easily let go with a choice to move forward with forgiveness in the heart. And also what this does is it keeps you from living in the past. Because when these situations are not resolved, they cause a ripple and they influence your future. And you think, oh no, it's my family stuff. That doesn't influence my job. You're absolutely incorrect. Oh no, it's just my brother. It doesn't influence my relationship with my male counterparts. These relationships and these past wounds, they infiltrate your entire life if you don't take time to heal them. So my suggestion is to allow yourself to just take full ownership, whether you do that in writing, whether you send the letter or not. Forgive. Forgive everybody for what you think, thought, feel. Just get to a place where you can just be in forgiveness and compassion and move on. Decide that you're not going to keep going back and ruminating over the same story or they did this and they said that. Just let it go. Just decide that you are worthy and life is worthy. If you can't even get to where you're worthy, decide that life is worthy of relationships where you are able to be present and honorable and vulnerable with yourself in them. And that's really how you move past regret. You cannot move past regret through therapy, in my opinion. You can only move past it when you've taken full responsibility and in doing so, gotten to a place within your heart where there's love and compassion for everybody in the situation, including the situation, and then there's resolve. That's really what you want to get to is resolve, a place of neutrality. It's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to live in. And not many people really get to be in that place. They hold on to these aspects because they were so horrific. And trust me, I have experienced horror. I've been there with horrible things happening, but it doesn't have to dictate your life. It really doesn't. So choose today to heal regret by taking full responsibility, owning everything in the situation from your perspective, and even I started to say with my sister, I even sent her a text because we don't talk, but I said, for anything that I thought about you or that could be misconstrued, just know that, I'm not in that place anymore. Please forgive me. And I don't feel like I needed her to forgive me, but what I needed was for me to be in a place where she knew that I had moved on. I really wanted to communicate, like, there's no hard feelings here, like, let's be done. And I think we've gotten to that place. I know I've gotten to that place for many, many years, but I wanted to invite her into that space with me because, thought forms have waves, and thought forms create forms that impact how energy flows. And so even though, you've moved on, a lot of times people haven't moved on, but that's their choice. But for this particular situation, I wanted to invite them into the place of forgiveness with me. Not that I did anything that needed forgiveness, but for anything that she may have thought, like, sure, forgive me. I'll take it. Yeah, compassion, love, light. Yeah, anybody who wants to get into that space with people and situations, it's only going to bring more light and flow into your life in every situation. I've even had clients, and this will be the last story, who had a horrible, horrific, very public firing. They were fired. It was public. Everybody knew they were fired. This client was sent to me because he was depressed and demoralized. And about a year into our work, he actually wrote the person who fired him a thank you note, because he wouldn't have gotten to work with me and learned everything that he learned about his life and his situation and really turned his whole world around had he been in that job, had he not been fired. Because, when you have such a pivotal event, it creates a ripple. And when you get to a place of gratitude and forgiveness, you do things that are beyond the imagination. And, he's living a great life now. He has no bitterness towards the people who fired him. And he's a better man because he was fired. Not because he worked with me, although I do believe our work was transformative in many ways. But to be in the space where you can write the people who fired you to say thank you, even though, I don't believe that these people were in the consciousness, but it doesn't matter. The energy waves go through the relationship anyways. And, those people will have their things to contend with anyhow. So you might as well take yourself out of any kind of contentions. Anyways, I hope you found this interesting and insightful. My name is Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Now let's see if I can turn this off. How do I cancel this video?